if you can tell from the last picture. I'll try and get closer, the light from the window, the sun behind me. But this is after the curl. I can't help, I'm sorry. Let's look over here. After the curl has been opened. One more time. This is after I open the curl. Remember, the curl comes really defined. Let's see, like that. And then you separate the curls and it fills up and gives you a fuller look. So I have braided my hair. This is the side I've already cut. And this is the side I still need to cut. What if I left it like this? What kind of style? Just kind of like taper the top over, right? 80s. Oh, is this an 80s thing? Okay, I'm in my bathroom where I normally do these sorts of things. But see, my hair's braided. And I've added, here's the hair. Let me see if I can get some. Here is the hair I've cut. And I'm digging it, folks. So this is one of my go-tos anyway. Very familiar with it. Let me see if I can find a package. Bear with me. So this is the hair that I use right here. And I use color number 2, which is about the color of my hair from the root. The ends of my hair may be a little lighter than that. I also get the 8-inch whenever I'm going to cut my hair in an afro. Otherwise, I use a 12-inch. So I'm going to just finish trimming and cutting this. I have braided my hair down. I don't have very many braids in my hair because what I've learned is over the years, the more braids you put in your hair, the more hair you add to the braids and it becomes bigger. And with this hair, you really don't need more braids to get a fullness because you open up the hair curl. Those big loops that you saw, you don't keep that. You open that up to give you volume, just like we normally do as natural girls or black girls with natural hair when we wash and style our hair with gels or creams or whatever. I'm using my bad, I'm using my phone. Whenever we style our hair, our own natural hair, we twist it or we braid it and then we let it dry, and when we take it out, we undo it and we open up sections at a time to give us fullness. Well, this is no different. So yeah, you still should do the same with this hair. I see so many girls braid their hair for protective styles, which is great, but then they don't style the hair. It's like the hair is already the way they think it should be in the package, so that's why they pick that curl pattern, and then they put it in their hair and it's not necessarily styled or trimmed, it's just hair on their head. So this is what I do to style it, and I generally like wearing a big afro. I'm on my way out of town, as we've already discussed, and so this is just going to be my easy, no fuss, no mess. I'm going to do my daughter's hair too. She's going to wear hers longer, more like a bob. And I don't have to worry about taking any products. The only thing I'm going to do when I get there, when I land, is find a Target or Sally's or any sort of beauty supply, grab myself a bottle of glycerin or something to hydrate and keep my scalp and my braids moisturized while we're out of town. I'll buy a big enough bottle for my daughter and I to share, and I'll pour it into an empty bottle that I take with me. Clean empty bottle, you know those little applicator bottles with the pointy tip. It's easy to get in there. I'll show you later what I'm talking about, but it's easy to just go and not disturb the curl pattern and squeeze and just let it, and massage it through. And she and I together should finish one bottle by the time the trip is over. Then I don't have to worry about traveling with it or TSA issues. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. I'll get back and show you the finished product. So all done, guys. It's so much bigger to the eye than it shows up on camera. I think though, I feel like it's full enough. I'm gonna sleep on it for a day. I feel like in here, it's a little thinner than I want. And since I'm gonna be traveling, I don't wanna be constantly picking and pulling in the hair. So I'm gonna fill it in here a little bit. So no matter which way the wind blows or which way I turn my head, I have the fullness I want. But yeah, all done for now. I'll show you some of the details shortly. I'm loving the cut. It's always best to see how it works after you've slept on it a day or two, and that's why I like to do it this early. I go out of town Thursday, and today is Monday, so this gives me a few days to tweak, let it get a little older, let it start to shape and mold custom to me and my movements. I love when that happens. But this is my protected braid style, so that can be cute, wake up with ease, not have to worry about hair. Then I can just focus on makeup and then making sure I keep something to nourish the braids underneath it. What do you think? So we're doing Destiny's hair now. This is how much we've already completed. Here is her part, which you can't tell that there's a braid there, and I'll show you that little technique that I do. But here it is. We're still in the process. It's not been, I have to lean back. And I just wanted to show you her braid pattern. Very simple, just braids going back. I started on the next row. Hold on here, let me separate it. I'm using my hands. I only have 2 hands, folks. And so here it is. She just has a very simple braid pattern. Her hair in and of itself is so thick. She has so many hair strands coming out of a follicle. This is one of her braids. It's best to braid her hair when it's damp, because I can get, not a tighter braid, but a more firm braid. Her hair has been detangled. I put products in it so that my fingers slip. And then that way I don't put too many braids in her head, because she has so much hair of her own. The more braids you place, the more hair you need to put on it. And because she has so much hair, the more braids she has in her head, the more hair. It's outrageous. So to keep her from looking like Mufasa, I braid her hair damp with lots of slip products that my fingers slip through, and then I let her dry overnight. I never pull the hair through while it's damp, because our hair, as we all know, is weakest when it's damp. And so she has a side part over here, which I already showed you. This little braid here, this little braid here is a thinner braid. It's braided extremely loose, and I'll show you why. And it's separate from all the other braids that are going in one row. It's because it's the part braid. And this is what, I'll show you the little technique that I use to disguise the part where it doesn't look like a braid is there, it just looks like the hair. As you can see here, looks like the hair is just coming out of the scalp as opposed to a braid. And then I connect all the braids at the bottom into one. And then when we get done, I'll connect it here up into the row and out of the way, so that when you're trimming or doing whatever, you don't accidentally clip a braid. We've done that a few times, right, Des? So, that's pretty much it. There's no funny, special, fantastic, fancy braid pattern. You're just braiding it all back. Now, this is my crochet technique, which is pretty similar to anyone else's. It's not like it's special to me, but generally I'm a tree braider. I prefer tree braiding because it allows me to braid as I add and remove hair. So I braid and add hair, and then once I secure the braid, I remove strands of the hair as I go, like branching out, leaving all this behind. And it should look and resemble a row, like a track. Instead of it being sewn on, it's braided on. But for her, I just threw a quick few braids in overnight, let it dry after it was shampooed and masked, and now it's just ready to slip the hair through. It goes pretty quick. So I'll show you the finished product and the style she wants to wear this time. We usually cut it in like a shoulder length bob or jawline bob. She wants to leave a little length on this time. So we're going to see how that looks, and I'll show you the finished product. Here is the hair again. And this is what it looks like in the pack. Here, I'll show you one outside of the pack. So here it is. That's the end. It has a loop here. And generally what we do is I just open it completely. And I was trying to see if I had one already open. I guess I don't. But I open it completely like this. And then I take it apart sections at a time as I feel the need and the size and the width. And then I add it through with this little doodad, which you guys have seen a million times, a little handy crochet hook. This little guy here closes gently over the hair you're adding so that you don't cause any damage to the strands. Because the goal is to take care of your hair. It's no good if this hair is not healthy. You won't have anything to attach it to. Anyway, that's that thus far. I'll show you the next step. So I'm trying to show you guys how. So here's the hair and you separate it. And I usually get strands like this little. Okay, let me separate it and show you. See, it should look like this. As thin as that. And the little braid area here, this is what we're doing. So you see over here, I've already started it over here. What I do is I make sure it's really loose hair and I place it right at the top or right at the edge, leaving all this loose hair here. So then when I put the braid through with the crochet needle like this, see, I only bring one side through and I leave the other side. Now I know there are some individuals who tie this here. I don't like tying that because it's a headache when it's time to take it out, and I feel like you damage and lose some hair strands here because you knot it. You don't have to, especially with hair like this. It has so much texture and it wants to kind of tangle anyway. It's going to hold. It's not going anywhere. But that's what I do. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's all this loose hair here. And if you leave it in for a couple of weeks, see here, see how loose this hair is here and here. What happens is it just blends together. You can't even see it. It just looks like, and you always want to make sure, at least for me, if you want it to not show any separation, you want to make sure you get the hair color that's closest to the color from your roots, your root color. You want to make sure. And so I'm just going to finish the rest of this row, but I just want to show you. I'll do another one. And this little bit of hair should take me through the rest of what I'm doing because I'm just using a few strands. The goal is not bulk. The goal is just covering up a braid. So it just looks like natural hair. So I'll come down here and show you. See this hair here? I'm gonna go through a little, bring it back up. So all I do is this. It's not heavy on the strands. It's not a lot of hair. You just pull it through here. It's not heavy or damaging. Just make sure you don't knot it because that's a headache later. When you take it out, you're going to damage your strands then. And that's it. And if once you do them close together in a row, what you'll have is what looks like hair coming from the scalp as opposed to an obvious braid. Now, these are braids, and so we're not trying to hide the fact that we're wearing braids, but if you're interested in a very more visible part or more, it's not really an invisible part because you want to show the part as natural as you can without the braid showing and being bulky. So if you're interested in having a natural part as opposed to what some folks call the invisible part, which never makes sense to me because I'm not trying to cover the part. I'm just trying to cover up the bulkiness of the braid and where things started and where they end. That is my only goal. See? And so right now you can still see the braid, but a few strands, you're almost not able to see the braid. But after a few more strands there, and I'll go even close to here, you won't be able to tell. That's what I do. And it just looks like a regular part. And it's so funny, folks always ask me how do I braid, or who does my braids or whatever, and I tell them I do it. No one believes that my hair is in braids. And it's so funny because folks will see me with my hair short, without braids. They'll see it in a ponytail, they'll see it in individuals. And whenever I wear this, no one believes me when I tell them these are braids. So it's just interesting. And I'm a huge fan of leaving the edges out. Don't braid your edges down, folks. Don't do it. You don't need your edges braided. you know, you want it natural, especially us natural girls now. Leave those edges free. And I'm also a huge fan of not covering them and smothering them in a lot of gel, because I think you damage and smother the follicle, and you thin out your edges. I'm older, so I've learned some lessons along the way. You don't want to lose your edges. So leave your edges out of the braids. That's it. So for the most part, that's done. I'll put a few more strands here, but it's really nice when the hair grows out and this is all loose, you know, and all this is, see, free hair. Doesn't need to be braided. Leave it free and stress-free, and just lightly try this technique. And if the first one doesn't look like it, I think it's in numbers where you'll see all the difference and you'll be pleased. And it's supposed, natural hair, what's beautiful about natural hair is that it's imperfect, you know, the natural state of it. There's no order. It just is. It's free. See, you can't really tell. I'm not going to put anything there. I'm going to leave it, but there's a few pieces here. I'm going to add some more hair, but for the most part, even if I didn't, it's done. And as her roots grow out, which her hair grows like a weed, when her roots grow out and it becomes thick hair in the part, like a natural part for kinky curly hair or anyone, you won't notice the difference. You won't even see. You still can't tell now. And I braided it a little tighter than I wanted to, but it's still loose enough to get the same effect. So I hope I'm not rambling. I hope this makes sense. But you just use the tiniest of strands, such as this. I don't know if you can see that, something that tiny. And you attach it close to the loose root that's not braided down tight, which your hair shouldn't be braided down too tight anyway. And you hook it there nearby, and then you don't pull both strands through. You just pull one strand through and let the other one lay on top. That's all I'm doing. So yeah, I will show you the before we trim it, and then the after, which haircut we come up with. Here is Destiny. It's very Diana Ross in Central Park, 19, what was that, 79, 80? I don't know. Turn, darling, turn. Oh, yeah. Dance, dance, do Diana Ross. Do her. Go. Do Diana. Woo! Yeah, let the rain, the wind. That's what we look like first. So we're gonna trim it a little bit. Right now, we're gonna start with right here. Hold on. So we're going to trim all of this stuff. I went in on her and not me. Put your hands down. Stop it, Destiny. Seriously, come on. You're messing up things. Destiny, put your hand down and hold your head straight. Hold your head up.